Welcome back to the Queen Esther Generation, or the QSG. So the QSG is really a program meant for those of us who feel that we have a call that is deeper and beyond ourselves. And of course, it's for women. Queen Esther was a queen in the Old Testament under the Persian kingdom. And she was married to Queen Xerxes. I'm not going to go through the biblical significance of this, but you can always read the book of Esther to understand what she stood for and understand her grace, her demeanor, her wisdom, and how she ended up rescuing or saving her people, the Jews, from slaughter and annihilation. So the Queen Esther, or Q, I need to call it the shorter version because it sounds really long. The Q Esther Gen, or the Queen Esther Generation, the QS Gen is about how do you transcend yourself and move into a place of intercession for people who you may not even know and have them fulfill their greatest potential. And how does that end up rewarding you as an individual and your generation? So really, we're not really we're going to be centered on ourselves, yes, because it is a means or a way for us to be of service to the rest of humanity. It could be your community, it could be your family, it could be to the rest of the people of your country or continent, whatever it is that God wants to do with you. But the importance here is it is a service by way of sacrifice, and I'm going to show you why in just a minute. So first of all, I'm going to go through the attributes of the woman that is supposed to be on this program. A woman who knows her worth, and a woman who understands her grace. Now, let me talk a bit about the worth bit. Sometimes we're not sure who we are, but we act it out. Like someone will then point out something about you and you go like, oh, really? So I'll give you an example. When I was younger, about age 13, 14, people would call me Margaret Thatcher and Her Majesty the Queen. I don't know. I wasn't consciously trying to be Margaret Thatcher, but there are definitely attributes about me that people felt aligned me to the royal queen, or her queen, the Majesty, the late, or a queen, but it was the queen, it was the Queen of England they were referring to. And the attributes that made me or endeared me to being called Margaret Thatcher. So sometimes we don't even know what we carry. We don't understand the greatness, the attributes, and somebody else has to see it in us. And that's what Mordecai did for Esther, is to look at her and say, you are queen material. You actually can make it on the throne because I know you and I see what is in you. So we need people who can see us. And some of us are called to be Mordecai's. Some people are called to be Queen Esther's. In this case, I'm only focused on the potential queen, the queen in the making. The queen who's a queen already, but she needs to do a couple of things to ascend to the throne. So it's a queen who knows her worth, whether she knows it directly or knows it, the woman who knows her worth, whether she knows it directly or knows it because somebody else points it out to her and leads her or guides her towards her, pushes her towards her destiny. A woman who understands grace. Now you do realize we operate as children of God, especially we operate on grace. I think even in the secular world, really, all human, we operate on grace. There's something extra that we carry that is not of our own doing, our own effort, our own might or power. Now we can sing My Power all day, but really it comes from God. And whether you like it or not, it's God that enables you. It says that in the scripture, it says that He has given us to will and to do all that pertains to life. He has given us all that pertains to life and godliness. But also, number 2, He gives us the power to will and to do that which is right. So He's given us everything that pertains to life and godliness, but has also given us the power to will and to do all that which we need to do. So a woman who understands that grace comes from God, the power and the willingness to execute. A woman who understands her intercessor position, that's number 3, and I've kind of spoken about it. You are here for a reason. I mean, you didn't just drop from nowhere. You came from somewhere, which is heaven. Your soul was formed in heaven. You can consult Jeremiah 29:11. Jeremiah, okay, I need to confirm. But you are knit in your mother's womb. But already the soul was in heaven. God just combined the two. Your unformed being or your unformed body in your mother's womb combined with the soul from heaven. So you come front loaded, and I spoke about that already. You already come loaded with instructions, loaded with the destiny, loaded with the power, the will, the capacity to make it and to do what you came here to do. Then you need to understand your intercessor position in the sense that you will be speaking on behalf of, but also you'll be speaking to a greater power than you, which is Jesus Christ. Metaphorically, it's Jesus Christ, but here we see King success. But we are intercessors toward God for people that cannot intercede for themselves. In other words, you're positioned in your family, in your workplace, in government, in corporate, in the industry of business, media, music, health, recreation, food and beverage, whatever it is that you do, it's a position of intercession. Believe it or not, it's a position of intercession. You just don't know it. Then the 4th is a woman who is going through the process and is willing. Some of us, let me just go back to number 3, the position of intercession. Some of us know that we are different. Like you know that you're different. You don't quite fit in. And you feel like your experiences are unique. You've gone through some things, yes, but the important thing is you made it to the other end. You can teach someone a thing or two. You can intercede by being in the position or the shoes of someone else, understand what they're going through, and still give them a solution on top of all that. Because there are people who are willing to give a solution without totally identifying with the problem, but you identify. You feel that there's a greater calling. You know there's something more. You know that God uses you in a specific and unique way. So number 4 is a woman who is going through the process and is willing to sacrifice for others. Okay, you're in a process. You know you're on a journey. There's something you haven't quite struck gold in your life, but you're going at it. There is definitely a destination that you're heading to, and you're willing to sacrifice for others. That should probably be a point on its own, that you're willing to sacrifice. You want to help others. You want to see them even get better than you. You want to uplift. You want to uphold. You want to sponsor. You want to not just support, but literally thrust people ahead of you. Thrust them to their destiny. Thrust them to their future. The 5th is a woman who can destroy the enemy. Now this is inborn. It's the warrior in you. The warrior in you that will not take any nonsense. And you know it because you have stood up for yourself. Even as a kid, you were bullied and you bullied back, and maybe you were even the bully yourself. You need to understand the warrior spirit manifests itself all through our lives. You know that you can fight for something. And more importantly, that you can destroy the enemy. Whatever you focus your mind upon as an enemy, you go out and you destroy it. If poverty was your enemy, you destroyed it. If illiteracy was you destroyed it. If it was laziness, you destroyed it. If it was procrastination, you destroyed it. If it was singlehood, you destroy. You know how to understand an enemy, and you go at it and you destroy it. So I spoke last time about the fast module. Now this is ideally a group session, but I just thought let me cover it here on a podcast to sort of also give you some mental preparation as well as help me fine-tune on the ideas as I speak, because that's what happens most of the time. We're not really sure what we're doing until we talk about it. So ideally, this is about building multi-generational wealth, but caveat, it is not just about money, because our problem is we think of wealth as money. It's not dollars. It is all-round wealth. Wealth meaning you have peace of mind, you have influence, you have power over yourself, you have power over your proclivities, you have self-control, you have mastered yourself. That's wealth on its own. Then you have influence as wealth, because money comes through people. If you don't have influence, you don't have wealth. Ideas come through people. Enablement, support comes through people. So you have influence. That's another mark of wealth. You have good relationships. You have people that support you. There are people you can count on. You have people you can call to pray for you. You have people that you can share a burden with. That's important. You have wealth in Christ. You understand that you're co-heir with Christ, that you're a daughter of God. You have access to God through Jesus Christ. You have access to his wisdom, to his wealth, to his knowledge, to his understanding, to his might, to his power. You understand that. So we're building that understanding. If that is not the capacity in which you are at now, we're going to build it step by step. So we're building it not just for us, but for multi-generational wealth. It's for posterity. Because in as much as we want to make it, for women, we're not quite happy unless we are moving ahead with others. Whether it's family or friends or our children, we want to uplift en masse. And that's why they say if you give education to a girl, she uplifts the whole community. If you empower a girl, the whole community is, and they use that a lot here in the third world nations, in the third world country, for donor funding. They know if you get the woman empowered, that community will never be the same. So not just the people you know, not just your immediate family, but we want you to be able to generate multi-generational wealth, even for people you don't know. So you're going to touch lives of people you have never met, never seen eye to eye. Or rather, never seen with your eyes. Eye to eye means something different, right? So, and this is generally for high-achieving women. The reason why this is building, or the whole crux of this program is building multi-generational wealth for high-achieving women, is because I know for sure, and I have observed this, high-achieving women are very, very busy. They are busy. They're busy with their families, they're busy with their businesses, they're busy with their investments, they're busy with their social connections, they're building relationships, they're building up their families, they're building up their wealth, they're building up their income, but they are not building up a relationship with God or even their calling. Most of them don't know what their purpose is. Yes, they bought their houses, they bought their cars, they've taken their kids to good school. You have made it. Yes, and kudos to you. You're a champion. But you honestly don't know your place on the planet Earth. And that is very dangerous, because you are running around aimlessly. In as much as there is tangible result in some areas, for that thing you came front-loaded to achieve, Remember, I talked about the soul comes loaded with instructions, with what you should do on earth. You haven't quite hit the mark yet, because all these resources are not purposed. They're not purposed. Your effort, your energy is not purposed. So you're going to do it for your kids. They're going to grow up and have their own families. And then what? They're going to have wealth of their own. And then what? So you say, okay, this is for my grandkids. Your grandkids may not even meet you, you know, and they may even grow up in a foreign country where you rarely get to see them. Okay? So you may not even have a relationship like that with them. They may not value you as much as you want them to value you. You got to have a greater purpose than that of your family. There's something more. You're here for impact. So if you haven't already found out what that something more is, or if you want to fine tune it, you want to get more clarity, sure, let me know. Because I think that is the capital IT, it. When your life is purposed. Look at Jesus' life. His life was purposed. When Esther was facing the magnitude of the decision, whether to fight for her people or not, Mordecai told her, don't think for a moment that you're spared from what Haman wants to do, which was to kill all of the Jews, and she was a Jew. He said, don't think for a moment that you're exempt. If you don't bring salvation, God will raise someone else. But who knows, perhaps you are in this position for a time such as this. For a time such as this. So you are here for a time. Notice such as this. Notice that she didn't just rescue her family. It was all the people that were under her authority. And women who are high achieving have loads of authority. They don't understand. They don't even begin to fathom how they can push the envelope for others to thrive. So you begin to think about that. So the overall objective is to territorial rulership. Territorial rulership. I think it makes sense from what I've just said. You have a territory. You may not even rule it physically, but you have it spiritually. You don't even know it. So I hope you're beginning to see the themes. There are twin themes of in the natural, you have power or you're destined to have power, which you're not using fully or effectively. So you need to start planning for that and purposing it. But also in the spiritual, you are an intercessor. You bring the petitions of people to the throne room of heaven, and then you act as the mediator to see these things through. Anybody who did that never wound up poor. They were not poor. That is what Daniel did. He interceded for the people of Israel when they were in exile. Daniel was useful through 3 governments, and theirs were not rotated, or they didn't change government every 5 years. The kings remained for a while, and he was relevant through 3 kings. So even if it's not just wealth, it's the relevance. It's your place of authority. That you can make things, you say the word and you make things shift. You shift the atmosphere. You shift realms. People act and do differently because you're in the room. So number 1, the sub-objectives are, number 1, discover your generational purpose. Number 2 is multi-generational wealth strategies. And number 3 is discover your destiny. Number 4 is step into your generational blessings. Because there's a blessing that is assigned to you. But I'm not sure you're walking in it. Okay, the money, the career, the cars, the house is a blessing, but that's not it. There's more. So I hope you have a hunger and a thirst for that more. Now, I already went into module 1. I want to end this segment here because we kind of covered the first module in a different audio. And the first module was about identity, and we were answering the question, who are you? That is your legacy. And the summary was you came front-loaded, which I have spoken about. I spoken about here briefly, so you can listen to that. Just look for Queen Esther Generation, Module 1. So I'm going to come back so we can begin Module 2. Now, the tools at the conclusion of Module 1 were your spiritual mapping, your skills mapping, and your talent or gifts mapping. So I'm going to require you to write out. It's sort of like a weaknesses and strengths. So you know how you do a strengths and weaknesses analysis, opportunities and threats. It's kind of something like that, where you map out what is working for you spiritually, what isn't, what skills are working for you, what do you need to improve on, what are the gifts and talents that you already come loaded with, because that's what we're going to work with. God needs you to use what you have. So I'll be back with Module 2. See you in a bit. Ciao.